but it's not here yet. So. Roger, Tuesday?
Yeah,
Southern Porches?
Live at Southern Porches. Man, live. Just seemed like the other day we were here before. That's the way it works.
And just for those who haven't watched before, the reason I keep looking at the phone is that's the technology we're using right now, where I can see those that are sitting in questions. So I really do listen, and just what they call multitasking, which isn't always the best thing to do, but when that's all you got.
That's good though, boy. I'm glad you're the technical one, huh?
Yeah, we're
gotta count on you to check that out and bring that in, and again, I think that's the heart of Southern Porches is the involvement of other people. We always want to keep an empty chair available for people out there that might be stuck on something or really upset about something and wanting some direction. We certainly want to be supportive of that and encouraging and helping them through things in the moment. And so that I think that's what we're trying to do in doing this is to help people rethink their issues and to get moving again.
Right, exactly. Anything else, just a way to process and bounce something off. But while we wait for some people to join us, we have one or two right now. I think we have a very interesting topic today, and it's what we talked about just briefly in a book you're reading about, what are the 10 things leaders do to fail? But before we get into that, kind of like some of the places you see where they'll talk about current news, let's talk about this boy in North Carolina. We don't have any details, but in Zebulon, North Carolina, who beheads his mother, and when the police arrive, walks out with her head in his hands and a butcher knife in the other hand. Should we make anything of it?
Well, yes, I think we need to make something of it because I think it's a flare. It's shooting up a flare and saying, take notice. I think there have been times throughout history where things have happened and it's asked us to step up and to take notice of it. And that from our own peril, if we ignore it or we blow it off or we minimize it, it's going to come back and cause us problems. And I think that there are major issues within families that can lead to people's death. I think some families have a system to resolve the issues. I think you cannot grow up in a family, you cannot grow up in a group, you cannot grow up in a society and not have conflict. You're going to have conflict. There's going to be things that other people say, other people do, that are going to throw you off and you're not going to be happy with. And the answer is not pick up if you disagree with someone, pick up a butcher knife and cut their heads off. Yeah, is that an option? Well, we've just seen, it's a very viable option, and some people can do that. But the healthy thing to do is to sit down, and I like one of the things my family said when I was growing up, it's important for us to agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. We're going to agree on the fact that we just don't agree. And we can discuss this all day long, and we're still not going to agree, but we can agree to disagree. It's okay. We're different. We see differently. You've got your view. I've got my view. But we have gotten to a place where if you do not agree with me and state that I am right and you are wrong, you have given me the right to harm you. And I think that's incredibly dangerous. And I think it's a setup for, like what you talked about with this boy and his mother. I think they did not agree. They did not see things the same way. And so he had a resolution.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very fatal resolution, a very dangerous resolution, a very unsafe resolution, but he resolved the issue. And at the end, he was right. He got his way, and she got dead.
And, unfortunately, again, we have very little information. It just happened today, and it's coming out. But the incident itself, there were two siblings at home, and they were not harmed. So it seems pretty obvious. It was directed towards the parental influence of the house. And whatever happened, it was his way of, like you said, solving or taking care of it.
Right, and I think it's again, what am I? And we need to ask, all of us out there need to ask this: what are you willing to do to be right? And what are you willing to do to get along?
Mm-hmm.
And I think those are two very powerful emotional places for people to be. You need to be in a place, and I learned this early in life, to be able to work with people. It's important to be able, you don't have to always agree with everything they say or do. I saw a comment on Facebook from the duck people down in Louisiana, and they say, I don't have to agree with everything in your life to work with you, to get along with you. I don't have to agree, and I don't have to state that everything you do I agree with to like you. I can like you, and there's some things about that you do, that you choose to do, that I don't agree with, I don't like, and I'm not going to do. And just because we're friends doesn't mean I agree with everything about you, but I still like you, and I still like you as a person. And I think we're losing that. We're getting to a place of my way or the highway.
Mm-hmm.
You either do it the way I want to, or I'm going to harm you.
Well, does this segue into what you were sharing with me, the book you're reading right now? And I know a lot of people have interest. I was interested when you were sharing the information with me on the 10 things that leaders do to fail.
Yeah, and one of the things that kind of amazed me about it was the fact of the issue of isolation. That it's very easy, and I think this is not just leaders, I think this is people in general. I think you marry someone, and you love them, and you love everything about them, and you live with them, and you experience life with them. But suddenly, little by little, it becomes a routine. It becomes boring. It becomes repetitious. And that changes the way you deal with it, and you deal with life and the decisions you make. And so in a need of our society to continue to live on the edge, leaders, spouses, people make very dangerous decisions. And when you pull them away and say, don't you think that's kind of a dumb idea? Don't you think if you go out of your marriage, that's going to cause problems? Don't you think if you do something wrong with money, that's going to cause a problem? They right up front, Rick, will say, that's a bad idea. I wouldn't do that. But they end up doing it. And how many people, leaders, preachers, and other people in their lives have been at the top of their game? I mean, they are really doing well, and they fall. They make some terrible decisions. I can remember when I went to seminary that there was a very, very successful preacher. And he, in the middle of having this great career in preaching, got involved in an affair that the counselor who was in a member of his staff found out about, and it toppled his entire structure, his entire administration, and all that he had worked for, went down the drain in a second. And he said, I don't know what I was thinking. And it's that kind of thing that happens. I don't think people 20 years before go, well, I think I'm going to have an affair. I think I'm going to do something inappropriate, maybe illegal. I don't think that's the way it works. I think they little by little by little by little get into routine, get bored, get into the common everyday grind of life, and they don't say why, but why not? And when they do that, wow. And you see people that I remember someone saying a while back, you were raised better than that. They were raised, but they know. It's not like they don't know. It's not like, oh, I slipped up and got into an affair. No, they didn't slip up. They dulled up and got into an affair. Yeah. They dulled up and made some really critical decisions. And so one of the things I loved in this book was that they were talking about the power of friendship, the need for everybody throughout life to have a handful of friends who told them, that's stupid, that's ignorant, stop doing that stuff. And that having that, all the great leaders that continue to be great leaders all had an inner circle of friends. And they weren't necessarily in the same business as this leader was. They were just good friends. They went someplace and had a cup of coffee and talked. But if you don't have somebody that you can go have a cup of coffee with and be honest with, and to say, oh, this is draining me, or I'm dulled, or oh, I'm getting tired of this, and them say, wake up, get some. Then you're putting all the effort you're putting in at risk, and that's what's real sad about it.
Well, also the friends are there to set you straight if you're going off the path, but they're also there to be encouragers, to be supporters, to like I said, to counsel, and maybe share ideas. And again, like I said, they don't have to be in the same industry. In fact, friendship among men is usually driven around business and talk and what we do, when in fact, friendships can be bonded stronger if men would allow themselves other opportunities and other things to discuss besides just business. But talk the concept of life.
Yeah, and I tell you, what happens is as people become bigger and bigger leaders, what they do unknowingly is surround themselves with yes men and women. People that agree with them, people that support them, people that won't challenge them. And I think there is the difference between a leader that's for the moment and a leader that can last a lifetime. Is because the leaders that can last a lifetime have people that can continue to offer perspective. And again, they're not yes people, they're honest people. They're what true friends are. And you and I talked even before the show, and we said, think about when we were 10, 11, 12. And the people we ran with, they were brutally honest. If you did something dumb, they were the first to tell you that, or you were thinking of. They kept you a lot of times out of major trouble because they was like, oh, I just don't know the way I do that, and you've been raised better than that, and I just don't think this is kind of your background. And having that perspective is very powerful. And I said one of the bad things is as we grow older, we lose that. We let that go. We don't put much importance on that. And so a lot of times when you ask people in high school how many friends you have, I got 20 friends, 20 people I can talk to. You talk to someone 50 and you say, how many friends can you talk to? Well, nobody. Who do you have around you that isn't an agreeable person? Nobody. Wow. And so what happens is continuing to have those people around them, and yes, it does get you in a place of bigger and better leadership, but it also puts you at risk, which can be very, very dangerous. You see something up through electronics?
No, I'm just trying to look at one thing, but it did come through. Okay. And what? Okay, so I guess the question is, why do we get to that point? Why? And you're right. I do remember the friends I had in high school and the numbers. Now, I do know there's a lot of that had to do with, of course, commonality and similarity. Unfortunately, at our age, we don't have the opportunity to go join football teams or track teams or,
Right.
and do things.
It's done for you, and as you get older, you have to do it for yourself.
Okay.
You have to set that up. And there's where we have a choice to be involved, but that takes effort. And on some level, it's not comfortable initially.
Mm-hmm.
And so people have to take a step out of their comfort zone and choose to become involved. There's nobody at the front of the church with a gun saying, come in and be part of the group.
Right.
You've got to go in and be part, and not only be part, but continue to be a part,
right.
And continue to be a part. And it's hard to do. It's easier to just kind of hang, and when you're young, every Monday you wake up and you go to school, and you go to the sports, and that's how you live your life.
So you read, of course, routine, and where routine may have gotten somebody to a place of success, what you read is that routine is also a driver for failure. The isolation.
Yeah, you get bored. I mean, it's the same old. When you first do it, Rick, it's new. It's new. And I can remember with therapy. I can remember first doing therapy. Woo, therapy, and just couldn't wait to do therapy. But when you're doing it every day, hour after hour, then at some point it's like, man.
Or when the reality of life comes in and you're a new therapist and you can take care of everyone and solve everyone's problem. and then the reality hits that, no, you're not.
Well, I love my professor in school who said, people get in the therapy business to cure everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They stay in the therapy business curing who they can. And it's that adjustment that separates the good ones from the not good ones. That you've got to be in a place of looking at something and saying, this isn't going to work. We're not, and I've said over and over to people, not everybody likes me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a wake-up call, because I think when I first started doing therapy, everybody loves me. I do great therapy. And also, this was a real wake-up call for me. When some of the big, highfalutin therapists were working with people, and their cure rate was just incredible. So they saw 10 people, and 9 out of 10 people they made a major change in. And I was like, wow, this person really must have the touch, until I realized when I looked at the research around it that you had to go to 3 or 4 other therapists that they had that were gatekeepers, and they kept moving around so that by the time a client got to the main woman or man, they already knew that this was going to be a good combo, a good connection. Right. These were someone that was going to work. What problem they had, that therapist knew how to work with that one problem, and they had gotten that person to a level of, I'm really willing to do something. And the average therapist doesn't. They don't know always who's going to come in, what the issues are going to be. Sometimes they connect, sometimes they don't connect. And, we would love, and you and I've talked about this before, wouldn't we love a client to come in and us say, well, I think you need to do A, and then go out and do A. You know, what happens is you say do A, they go to their car, by the time they make their car, they blow it off. You know, that's not happening. And one of the things I can remember is seeing a couple one time, and the man was having an affair. And so I asked the wife if I could talk to her husband by ourselves, just us, him and me. And I talked to him and I said, okay, we can't move forward if you won't give up your girlfriend. That's the first step. If you won't give her up, then it doesn't matter what we do. Because you might agree with everything I'm saying, but the minute you go see her and kiss her one time, everything I've said will be wiped clean. It won't mean anything. And the power she had with a romantic edge was far greater than I had with a therapeutic edge. And he walked out and he couldn't make that choice, and the marriage failed because of it. You know, I'm not giving that up. And he had his reasons. Oh, this reason, that reason, that. I said, you can have wonderful reasons, but you can't keep the reasons and save your marriage at the same time.
But aren't we as human beings great at creating justifications for things we do wrong, but we always have the reason we do it. And affairs are one of the things, well, if she would only have done this, or he only would have done that. No, you know, you made the choice, you know, instead of communicating with each other and trying to work on it. And I think we go through life sometimes coming up with the justifications as to knowing we're doing wrong, but I'm doing wrong because, and then when we really get faced with it, we know that justification is not relevant to the curing or the solving of the issues that are involved in it.
No doubt about that. And one of the things I see as a shift, Rick, is that if a person or people come in and they are maintaining their role as a spouse, then the marriage has a shot. The marriage has a shot. But so much of the time I have people come in and one or both people have changed from being a spouse to being a lawyer, to being an attorney, and they are going to win their case. They're going to justify their case. You know, it's not about what's right or wrong. It's how they present it to be right or wrong. And so they coming in and they're trying to convince me. I'm like the jury as a therapist. Let me tell you why it's a smart move that I like this person. And let me tell you why it's a smart move that I need to get out of this marriage. And even though you say in session, this is a bad move, this is going to cost you, you're going to regret this, your kids are going to regret this, by the time they make the door, everything you said to them, they've blown off. They don't care. They're being a lawyer. They're going to win their case. They've built their case, and it's already built up by the time they come in. And so at that point, it's too late. So I'm always looking, who do I have in my office? Do I have a set of spouses or do I have a set of lawyers? If I have a set of lawyers, then we're not going anywhere. If I have a set of spouses, then we can make some adjustments. We can let go of some things that are going to kill this relationship. And I think there's where the water hits the wheel on that one.
So as we now go back to the leadership side, the routine, the isolation is part of this concept of relationships. And what we mean by relationships in leadership is having the opportunity to work with a lot of employees. The ones that truly are appreciative of the leadership of their organizations are the leaderships that do build relationships with the employees. The employers and the leaders who know their employees by name, know their families by name, who know what's going on in their lives, who are there for them. And the leadership that isolates themselves in the glass towers are the ones that, again, are setting themselves up for failure because they're not building relationship with the employees. Plant managers who walk around on the plant floor and talk to their employees usually really see a much more success rate in that operation versus the plant manager who stays isolated, as we talked about, in the office or does not. And that's what a relationship is all about. It's just getting to know someone. And we're back to the Dale Carnegie, what we talked about last week. People's most interesting subject is themselves.
No doubt about it.
And those leaders who are willing to go out and connect, and it can be any type of leadership. It can be leadership in a nonprofit. It can be leadership in a club. But those who are building the relationships. And you look in our community, we have a great community here with great leaders, and I can guarantee you, everyone that's made a leadership role in this community has made relationships within the community and is involved with people in their lives.
Right, and I think that the greatest organization is the family.
Mm-hmm.
When people get into this is what mama does, and this is what daddy does, and this is what the kids do, I think down the road it's disaster. Their families break up, they have problems, they have all this going. But when I hear that we're a family, we do things, we're involved, and I like my daughter-in-law who goes out, and my daughter who when they go to soccer practice, they take the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody goes out there. Well, I'm not playing. Doesn't matter. Your brother's playing, and when you're playing, your brother's coming, and so there's an involvement. There's an investment, and I think that's where you see it in leaders and companies and in families is to get going. You must, like you're talking about, be invested. You must be interacting. That's what gets you off the ground. But what happens is you get off the ground and you start gliding. You start just doing the routine, and you're going through the motions, and you're not involved anymore. You're just, using the process. And because why? That's easier.
Mm-hmm.
But in the easiness of it, it gets to become routine, it becomes boring, and you inevitably will make mistakes like that. And you'll get involved in an area that is not good. And I think that's the one thing I've seen throughout my life is so many failed leaders. So many people who went out and got into a role of leadership but did not maintain it. The things they did, even a good family man or a good family couple, they didn't maintain it. The first year or the first 3 years, they were really rocking. They were really involved. But then they got in a routine, and down the road, they hate each other. They don't feel like they understand each other. And infidelity happens, and things go way off the track then.
So if we're going to talk to somebody who is in a role of leadership and is connecting with this idea, and it could be leadership of a family, a leadership of a business, a leadership of a community organization, any leadership role, and they're saying, I can understand or connect with this, how does someone like this realize they're in a routine, and what do they need to do to break routine and re-energize themselves?
Number one thing, friendships. If you don't have them, make them. If you're not connected, get connected. If you don't know a number of people, get to know a number of people. If you're finding yourself surrounded by yes people and living in a comfort zone of yes people, go out and find people who have an opinion, who have a different way of life, a different way of saying things, a different perspective. And that's the one thing you see in people in higher office. They do not surround themselves with yes people. They surround themselves with honest people, with friendships, with people that know what's going, that they can, like I said, can sit down and have a cup of coffee with. You know, if you do not have someone in your life that you can sit down and have a cup of coffee with and look over and say, I think I'm screwing up, or this is what I'm thinking, and that you can't be honest with, I'm saying right up front in this program, you're at risk. You're at great risk of losing everything that you've done. And I think people act like they can get out of a business, I'll be okay. I can get out of a marriage, I'll be okay. I can get out of a relationship, I'll be okay. And that is a lie, Rick. That's a lie. You're going to pay greatly. And for some people, you're going to pay for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I know people that haven't been married to someone for 20, 30 years, but they still having to mess with them, still having to deal with them financially and emotionally. Yeah. And it's just, they just continue to be whipped with it. And it's like, oh, you know, I'm asking them to think ahead of time, to plan ahead of time. And by doing that, it may change the dynamics down the road.
You know, those that enjoy history, I think one of the best examples of that, if you go back to the Cuban Missile Crisis and John Kennedy, one of his strengths was he did surround himself with people who he made it clear he wanted to know exactly what their thoughts were, even if it was contrary to what he was thinking. And of course, there were a lot of hawks that were giving him advice during the Missile Crisis, and could have very well have led us into World War III and the annihilation of both the Soviet Union and the United States. But if you look at the history of what he did, he also had people that he trusted and would share, you know, of course, his brother Robert, but there were others in the administration who were not hawkish. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, he'd hear everything, but he made it very clear he was making the final decision.
Yeah, I love that, what you're saying there, Rick. He was willing to listen to a contrary idea. And I'm saying that is a marriage saver. Mm-hmm. That is a country saver. That can make such a difference. If you can keep an ear and be civil with a contrary point of view. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that's what Kennedy did. What a difference. And I think when you listen and look through history of many of the great people that operated, they had a contrary view in their ear. They had people around them that didn't always agree. And I think great things happen because of that. Yeah. Because I think it's easy, and that's one of the things we're talking about, is to fall into a routine. I cannot help but remember the movie Dead Poets Society with Robert Williams, where he had the boys go out into a patio and walk around in a circle. And given time, that they were all walking the same way. And he pointed out, this is what happens to people. You get around, and before you know it, you're in sync. It forces you to go in line. And it's hard to walk out of step. It's hard to get out of the circle. But great leaders are people who do that. Great marriages are people who do that. Great businesses are people who do that. And I'm not trying to in any way tell people that's easy. It is not. It is very hard. But what I am trying to tell people is that the payoff is huge.
Right.
And that they are going to be happy by, dealing with this up front and acquiring and working on and learning the skill to agree to disagree. I think that is a powerful piece in healthy personalities.
And as far as friendships, I know you have well over 1,000 friends on Facebook. I have over 500. Is this the friendships you're talking about? Are these friendships that we
No. I'm talking about they go get a cup of coffee.
Oh, you can actually sit down and talk to someone.
Yeah, right. And look at them eye to eye and be there in person with them. And Nothing's more superficial than to hit like on Facebook. Oh boy, you're my friend, and I like this, and I don't like this, and you can sit and one of the great things with Facebook is the ability to ignore. I think that we would be amazed at how many people ignore the posts of other people. Mm-hmm. That they say they're friends, but they're saying, yeah, I don't agree with that, I don't like this, I don't go with this. And that's hard to do over a cup of coffee, face to face. That is not easy to do.
So friendship is built upon using all five of our God-given senses.
Amen.
To connect. What a concept.
Right, and the ability to be uncomfortable. I think it is not always comfortable to sit down with someone that you don't agree with. Mm-hmm. I think that is a real gift, a real skill, to sit and listen to people and think, I don't agree with this, but I'm going to listen to it. I don't go along with this, but I'm going to be a part of it. I think that makes for better people. And I think that's what leaders do. What I'm saying is the first 3 to 5 years of leadership, that's what they're doing. When they're going out and getting a business off the ground, they realize this is a skill I must have. This is a skill I must exhibit. And what they do is once they get there, there's a huge influence to get into routine, to go along, to surround yourself with yes people. I know how to run this company. I'm going to have people around me that will say, yes, I'll do leadership. I'll make it successful. And they don't realize now they're on the path of when something comes along that might be detrimental, mm-hmm. They have no one around them that's going to shoot a flare and say, whoa, I don't know about this. I was trying to think of who was they were talking about where that when this leader hired someone for their company, his wife had to approve it. Mm-hmm. That she was a key element to the hiring process. And there were people that came in and she said, well, this is a nice person, but I think they're down the road, they're going to be detrimental to the organization. And because of that, their organization, they had that communication. Mm-hmm. They were willing to work together. Their marriage was stronger. The business was stronger. They were more successful because things that he was blind to, he said, I didn't see that. She did. And I think there is the beauty and the power of marriage, mm-hmm. that people have in the first 3 to 5 years of marriage and lose down the road. That I've heard that, I know what she thinks about that, and they blow their spouse off to their detriment. Yeah. It does not fare well for the family, does not fare well for the family, and things go bad because you get into not wanting to hear a disagreement. You don't want to hear a different point of view. And I think that bad things can happen in life and in business. And again, there's so many people we see that spend years and years of their life building a company only to do something real stupid, or build a marriage and do something real stupid that then cost them the business of the marriage. Yeah. It's painful. It's painful to see.
And let me tell you one thing that I am very pleased with and hopeful for is, I know that the millennial generation, that's 18 to 30 or so, mm-hmm. but gets a bad rap on a lot of stuff. But one thing I see in my students is when we make it clear and set the expectations up front at the first of the semester that we want to hear everyone's position, and I teach religion, so, politics, sex, and religion are things we're not supposed to talk about in public.
Right.
And at least I get the politics and religion into the class. But these classes that I do, and these 18 to 24-year-olds, which I have, they truly are good at honoring and respecting other opinions and listening and feeling free to share. And we recognize, we work with them on understanding what are your natural biases. And bias is not a bad word. Bias just means this is, our worldview, and understanding what our biases are, we come from. But I guess I'm sharing this is hopefully they'll be taking this into the rest of their lives, that they are learning critical thinking skills. They are learning that it's okay, as we said, to hear another person's opinion. Doesn't mean you have to agree with it,
Right.
but try to understand why they have an opinion and share what their belief systems are and their worldviews, and respect that of the other people. And that to me is real encouraging, especially in the world we're in today, where it's so easy to get the TV on or get the radio on and hear just one side of a position all the time, and that's where you dwell.
One that agrees with you.
But
I'm going to search around to find someone who says how I already believe, and then continue to watch them and blow off every other opinion that goes on. And I can remember thinking about school, of going to a class and the teacher dividing the class up to like 5 members here, 5 members here, 5 members here. And then she said, the team that works the best together will make the best grade.
Mm-hmm.
And the team that's not the team that will have the best member in it. There may be someone who has that one superstar,
right,
and they're going to do poorly. And it was great how she had all these assignments, and that you had a choice to build up a team or for one person. And that was, boy, it was hard to work for one person. Well, I know this, they'd been to school, they'd been to religion class, they'd been to all this. They knew the answer, and they were going, and every time they would run ahead, and the team would lose out. And I love that example, and I thought, well, there's how life works. That the people that are able to create and work within a team
mm-hmm,
of a family, a team of a job, a team of a church, are going to live a happier life. Their life's going to go better, and they're going to achieve more by doing that, which I love.
Yeah, and I forgot, I wish I remembered the statistics, but it was pretty overwhelming, and I think we brought it up one time, but there was a study done about entrepreneurs, and sole entrepreneurs who are building a business by themselves, starting off small, don't have as great a success rate as just somebody who partners with another individual and has that team to work with. And so, even as something as simple as just a small business or getting a small business going. And again, you think about what is out there today. Of course, my favorite is always Apple computers and Jobs and Wozniak, and Jobs probably would have been successful. Wozniak probably would have been successful, but the two of them together in the garage built Apple Computer.
Right, and I love the book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, in which it says, what we're told or even preached at is the individual, mm-hmm, the one person who stands up, and he says in that's a myth. That really doesn't happen, that there are very few individual success stories, that people who are truly successful, and like you're bringing up Jobs and Wozniak, who you really hear about is Jobs. Yeah, he's the guy out there in front. But without the other guy, we don't have Apple Computer. And that's the way it is when you look at so many people. There's one person that's noticeable that might be out there that you see more, but very few people get there all by themselves. It's a team effort. And that the great successes in life, as Gladwell's talking about in his book, is that ability to get together, to work together, to build together, that when one person gets weak, the other person picks it back up. When that person wears out, the person that's rested picks it back up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's that collaboration. And a part of what we're saying today is when we're young, we're forced to collaborate, or we tend to collaborate better when we're young. But once we get out of high school, we collaborate less and less and less and less. We believe pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And what happens is that we become impossible to work with.
Yeah.
We become impossible to be married to. We become impossible to be with. And that's what we really want to throw a flag up today and say, look at your life. Are you a good teammate? You know, are there people around you that you work with? That at times it's not easy, but you make the adjustment to be able to work with them. And what I'm saying in this is you're a better person. You have a better job. You have a better marriage. You just have a better everything by doing that. And that doing things by yourself, even though becomes routine and easier as you get older, causes more problems down the line. You do not see people who, I want to start a company and ruin a company in the same year. I don't ever see that. I don't ever hear that. You know, I want to get married and I want to cheat on my spouse in the same year.
Get divorced, lose my kids. Yeah, that no one starts like that.
Nobody starts like that. It's I love this person. I care about this person. I care about the job. I'm willing to burn the midnight oil. I'm willing to do what it takes. But if what we're saying today is it's easy to fall into a routine. It's easy to surround yourself with yes people. It's easy to tune in to your own opinion. And what we're saying that if you do that, and it's easier when the coffee invitation is made, not to accept it and not to go. It's harder to say, I'll adjust my schedule, I'll sit down for coffee.
Mm-hmm.
I'll adjust my schedule, I'll do what it takes. And if you do that, and like you're saying with your religion class, you know, all these kids get together and entertain the views of other kids. And they're better people. They're better people to be around, and they're better for an organization if they have that critical skill of working with someone else.
Well, you know, unfortunately, we're back to that time again.
Oh.
Next week, I do want to start off, and I got to figure out how to show it, but there's a good video out there that will kind of follow up on this discussion. It talks about how movements are started, and that really the movement's not started by the leader himself, but the movement's started by the first courageous follower. And it's like, I know how to show it. I don't know if it'll show well, but we'll start with that and continue the discussion on, you know, what it really looks like to be that first courageous follower. So, Roger, again, good discussion, enjoyed it, and we'll do it again next Tuesday.
I love it. I love it. Same time, different day.
Yeah, different day.
It seems like when we start, it's like, oh, there's no way we're going to go through this. Then you go, well,